Yo guys, what is going on? Blossom is back and welcome back to another episode of Top Drive. Today I want to answer a question literally I get asked constantly, although I have tried to answer it in the past. In fact, I have answered it in the past, but it's a question that, new people that come to the channel will always ask no matter what, and that is, how do I make all my money? Top Drives money, obviously, not real money. I wish I had 11 million in my actual bank account, but as you can see, I have 11.5 million in Top Drives, and if you remember last month, in June, there was supposed to be something called Pack Week, which basically turned into Pack Month. June 2020 was just insane. I made more money in June 2020 than I did in probably any other month of this year. I think I made up to, maybe 8 to 9 million in June alone. It was insane. I was making $1 million every 4 days and having a pack opening every 4 days. And yeah, there was actually one day I even made, I think, 330k in a day. And yes, I mean, honestly, if I kept that up, I could have made $1 million in theoretically 3 days, which is insane. And then you get 30 days in a month, so if I kept that going, that would have been 10 million in a month. It's insane how much you can make. But yes, today I'm going to talk about how I made all that money, but in a different sense, because in the past I've already made videos on how to use clubs correctly and how to use clubs in the most efficient way possible. I've also made videos on how to balance your income in the most efficient way. Income as in, how to balance daily event prize boards to challenges, to clubs, to tier 1 finishes, or whatever best finish you can get. I've done videos on that already, so today I'm gonna do what is going to be the first episode of a 2-part series, which are basically my money makers. These are the cars that make me the most money, that gets me the most wins in clubs. These are cars that if you get from a pack, you should max it out immediately. If you get a second one, max it out. If you get a third one, max it out. Fourth one, max it out. Unless it's like uncommon, then you only need one, and then I guess you can just use gold to service it if you really want. But these are cars that sometimes you might want to use 2 or 3 in one hand alone, and for that you will need multiple to have max. So very simple. Today I'm going to talk about some of the best cars that makes me money. So before we get into this, I have to ask you a question, actually. Top Drives, what is the ultimate goal of Top Drives? Not your ultimate goal, but the ultimate goal Hutch wants you to have, or the ultimate goal Hutch has for Top Drives for its players. At the end of the day, the ultimate goal is one thing. That is to collect every car in the game. Obviously, that's never gonna happen to most of us. Even for me, who shoves out money in this game like crazy, it's not gonna happen, right? For me, my kind of goal is to go for all the American cars I can get and have them maxed. But obviously, the ultimate goal for this game is to collect every car in the game. And one of the most beautiful things about Top Drives, which really sets it apart from all other racing games out there, is that every car, almost, I would say 98% of all the cars in the game, have some purpose, right? Whether it be a purpose of 1 and 10, but like imagine a purpose scale between 1 and 10, okay? In terms of most cars in Top Drives, the purpose scale for most cars in Top Drives would probably be between 3 and 5, right? They're not going to be useful in most events, but each car kind of has its own niche. And then there are some cars that are really, indeed, truly very, very useless, and they would maybe range between the 0 and 1, but really a car that has a purpose level of 0 is very, very rare to find, because one day there is going to be a multiplayer event that needs a particular car that you may not have, or there's a challenge, or who knows, a new tag. I mean, when well, for example, the Audi R8, it's a pretty useless legendary, all things considered, but when Silver Screen came out, suddenly that's a car that you direly need to win the Aston Martin 177. So you know what I mean, right? Each car will have its day to shine, and it's very, very rare that a car would have a purpose level of 0. But yes, today I'm going to talk about not the cars that have a purpose level of, the average, which is 3 to 5 or 0. We're going to be talking about the cars which I believe has a purpose level of 10. These are cars that I use in clubs all the time. They win me races, they win me events, they get me MVP badges, they get me participation badges, and that leads to money, and that leads to pack openings. So these are the cars that I think has a purpose level of 10, the highest of the high. Obviously, there will be some cars where you'd be thinking, oh my god, why didn't you add this one? This one's really good too. Remember, I'm only adding 10s. There are some very useful cards in here, but they might be a 9 instead of a 10. But with that said, let me get into it. I'm going to tell you what I think are my purpose level. Are we calling that now the level 10s? The purpose level 10 cars? I don't know. I'm making this up on the spot because, you know, most of my videos are unscripted. But yes, I'm going to tell you my purpose level 10 cars, what they're good for, and why I use them in clubs, and, you know, at this point, I don't even need to tell you, right? If I show you a car and I'd be like, this car is purpose level 10, you know it makes me money. It makes me the big bucks in clubs. So with that said, let's get into it. Today's episode is going to be covering uncommons and rares, and then tomorrow's episode is going to be super rares and ultra rares. In fact, yes, uncommons and rares and super rares and ultra rares. I already have the list for all of them. They're going to be 11 uncommons, 12 rares, I think 11 super rares, and 16 ultra rares. So there are quite a bit of ultra rares, because as you know, ultra rares are the backbone of everybody's garage, whether it be, you know, its use in the Tri-Series or its use as fuse material to put into epics. So with that said, let's start us off with the first purpose level 10 car, and that is indeed the Mercedes-Benz 300 SL. Why? It's because it specializes in 1 mile, half mile, and test bowl for low RQ. Okay, well, they're gonna be, you know, there's gonna be a spectrum here, right? You're not going to see just one car that I select for all the drags. No, there's going to be a low RQ drag, low RQ twisty specialist, then high RQ and high RQ drag, high RQ twisty specialist in the same rarity, right? So low RQ meaning, you know, it's on the lower end of uncommon, 21, and then high end uncommon RQ would be 29. You'll get it when I actually go through the cars. So the first one is the Mercedes-Benz 300 SL. You gotta have this car max. I would say I recommend Sue. Have it at 996. This car is amazing MRA. Great car for the test bowl, half mile, and the 1 mile. Moving on, we have the Chrysler 300H. This one is the opposite of the Mercedes-Benz 300 SL. It is in the same category, low RQ drag, but it's only good for the quarter mile because of that 4.90 to 60. It is very, very, very good, but only for the quarter mile because it has no MRA. So there you go. That's your low RQ uncommon drags done. You got one for the longer drags, which is the 300 SL, and then you got one for the shorter drags, which is the Chrysler 300H. Now, moving on, we have the Lancia Fulvia Coupe. This is the car that I like to use for the low RQ twisties, for like the slaloms, for the hairpins. I mean, hairpins is more of an all-rounder ones, but I can use it on the hairpin if I really wanted to. Twisty circuit, twisty road, you get the gist. It's a very good car, very, very light, 741 kgs, amazing handling for RQ22, and 6.70 to 60. The time bar is really good too, but this one's more of a 9 than a 10. I'm giving the Fulvia a 10. Anyway, moving on now, the next car, the third car. This one I would say is genuinely, honestly, an 11. If there was an 11. As you can see, I have 3 of the max, and that is the Chevrolet S10 Blazer Extreme. One of my favorite uncommons in the game because of how versatile this thing is. Let me tell you what it's good in. It's good in all the twisties, right? So kind of like the Fulvia, you can deploy it on a slalom, on a hairpin, on a twisty road, twisty circuit, but you can also deploy it on city streets because it has a ground clearance of high. So if there ever was a motocross track, which was all asphalt, one day, if that ever happens, this would be a great car to have. It's amazing, low 0 to 60, high handling, definitely not a drag spec car, but this is a very, very good car. What I like to use this the most in clubs, and I use these cars a lot. I have 3 of them, as you can see, 436, 50% win ratio. Obviously, the win ratio doesn't look very high, but you have to realize that these cars are useful not always in a sense that they win, but in a sense that they lose by 50, okay? Because when it comes to top drives, losing by 50 can be a win if you are saving a lot of RQ. Because this car, although RQ 25, it may lose only by 50 points to maybe a super rare that's like RQ 48. So yes, you lose by 50 points, but imagine how much RQ you save. You save about like 20 RQ, which you could be putting in another car. Maybe like, you know, maybe that 20 RQ is just enough for you to fit in a Bugatti Chiron or something that will actually win you like 300 points in any drag against any car. So yes, losing by 50 points, strategically losing by 50 points is a win. So even though some of these cars might not have the highest win ratios in my garage, trust me, they are very, very useful. So the Chevrolet S10 Blazer, just that. Really love this car. If you don't have it, I recommend you to get like 4, 5, 6. I personally have 3, and most of the time I have to use 2 in one hand because Dragon City is 2 cities, right? So I'll use 2 for the cities. So yes, technically I should get 4, so I can switch out, you know, those 2 and 2. But yeah, for the most part, because it's uncommon, they're really easy to service. I've just been servicing them with gold if needed. Moving on, obviously you see a lot of good cars here that I'm not going to talk about. The RX-7, the Laser, the Volkswagen Up, the Megane. They're all great cars, but in my opinion, they're all kind of in the 9s, right? Another great car that I really want to touch upon now is the Fiat Dino Spider. It's a really good car. It's a fast circuit wet specialist, because this car has MRA, has a decent 0 to 60, pretty high top speed, and it has standard tires, and it doesn't have bad handling either. So for the Fiat Dino, the Fiat Dino Spider, I'm gonna give it a 10 as well. It's twisty, fast, circuit specialist for the wet. Very good car. In fact, I would deploy it on the test bowl as well. I wouldn't mind. Although it may not win, it will once again lose by 50. I might put it on a 1 mile in the wet. It's still a very decent car. 160 races and 66% win ratio, and I've had it for just over a month. So as you can see, I'm using it more than once a day. A lot more than once a day. It's a good car. The Dino is a great car. Moving on now, the next one I want to talk about is indeed the Renault Twizy F1. This car needs no introduction. Twisty, dry. You get the point. You know what? You can even deploy this for a fast circuit or a quarter mile, because you can utilize the 4.90 to 60 it has. But yes, this is a very good car. You can even use it for hairpin, really. Very, very nice car. Had it for 465 days, as you can see, over 1,675 races and a win ratio of 43%. Hold on, someone is calling me. And I hung up. Do not call me when I'm recording a video. Anyway, moving on, I have the next one on the list. The rest are all just 29s now. This one needs no introduction. The Plymouth GTX. This person is calling me again. Let me end it. The Plymouth GTX. Amazing car. This car, once again, needs no introduction. You need it for the quarter mile and the half mile. Very, very good car, obviously for dry. You can use it for wet as well, but the Plymouth GTX is a great car. One car I did miss that we did skimmed over really quick, I think it's RQ28. Yes, right here. Another one that I would really recommend is the Chevrolet Impala SS427. This is the car I use for the 1 mile and the test bowl for high RQ. So 300 SL and the Chrysler 300H are cars that are drag cars that I would use for the low RQ drags, and then for the high RQ drags, I usually like to use the Chevrolet Impala for the test bowl and the 1 mile, as well as the Plymouth GTX for the quarter mile and the half mile. Now, when it comes to test bowl, the Impala actually isn't the best one to use. I think, 162. I think the Indy might be better on the test bowl at 167. At 168, maybe, I'm not too sure, but I haven't really been bothered to test it. I've just been going with the SS427, and that's been doing me just fine. In fact, a lot of people in clubs are just using the SS427 anyway, and obviously drag cars need no introduction. They are 996, and then all the twisty ones are 969. So moving on, we have the Defender 110. Everybody knows this one. This car is really the only uncommon off-roader you really want to have. I have some other uncommon off-roaders like the Hummer and the Trailblazer, but the Land Rover Defender 110 is really what you want to get. 4-wheel drive, off-road tires, 72 handling. It's a great car. It was useful in a Tri-Series final. People in Tier 1 was using this in a Tri-Series final for the Maserati MC12, and uncommon being used in a Tri-Series final. That just shows how good the car is. But yes, the Land Rover 110 is definitely a keeper. I have 5 of them maxed out. That needs no introduction. And finally, the last 2 uncommons that are going to get a 10 on the purpose chart, I guess, on the useful chart, would be the Lotus Europa 47 twin cam. This car is kind of your all-rounder. You can use it for the fast circuit, you can use it for the twisties, You can use it for the hairpin. You can use it for the quarter mile. I don't know why you would when you have a GTX, but this car is the all-rounder. It's very decent and it's also very, very light. In fact, lighter than the Lancia Fulvia. And the last one I would have to say is the Mazda Yunus Roadster. We have the Defender, which specializes in the off-road uncommon section, and now we have the Mazda Yunus Roadster, which specializes in the uncommon standard tire section. This car is absolutely amazing for all wet twisties, and if you want wet fast, this is where the Fiat Dino Spider comes in. So these are all the uncommons that I'll give a 10 out of 10 for. Obviously, there's some really good ones I missed out. I mean, every uncommon in my garage, as you can see here, has a purpose, right? The Volkswagen Up is a great car. I would just say it's just shy of 10. I would give it a 9. The Corrado is a great car as well. The Jaguar XJ12 is a very decent one too. But once again, like I said, these are my 10 out of 10s. Anyway, moving on to rare now, I have 12, so let's get cracking. The first one that I would like to recommend is the Opel Manta 400. This is your low RQ dry twisty car, 5.989, very light as well, needs no introduction. Actually, is it very light? Yeah, it's pretty light, just a little over 1,000 kgs. I would say anything under 1,200 is considered light. The next one is the Dodge Coronet Super B. This is your quarter mile specialist for the low RQ rare section, 4.60 to 60. There isn't much that could beat it. There is the LT1 that will beat it on the half mile and the 1 mile, but once again, it will lose to the quarter mile to the Coronet Super B. Now, this one, I would say maybe a 9 or an 8, not a 10 though. Moving on, the next one is the Caterham 7160. It's a very, very light car, under 500 kgs. I mean, people could probably bench this. Eric could bench this. I couldn't. My bench is 100 kgs, 220 pounds. This is in kgs, never mind. I was gonna say I could almost bench half of it. I can't. That's 200 kgs, that's different. But yes, 108 top speed, 5.60 to 60, 77 handling, very, very light car. This is indeed a specialist for the wet, twisty, low RQ. Moving on now, we going back to the Opel roots. Another car that I like to use a lot is the Opel GT Concept. This is a slalom specialist, as well as a G-Force specialist. For the rare, it's very light, under 1,000 kgs, 94 handling, but the 0 to 60 is very weak and the MRA is non-existent. So once again, it is a slalom and a G-Force specialist, not even a twisty specialist. I mean, yes, it's good for the twisties, but there are cars that will beat it on like twisty circuit, twisty road, but when it comes to slalom and G-Force, the Opel GT Concept is what you want to use. A very useful car. I use it a lot in rare events and clubs, wins me the big bucks. Moving on here, I'm giving this a 10 out of 10 on a really special circumstance, and that is indeed, where is it? It's RQ. Yeah, here we go. The Chevrolet Corvette 396. This one, technically, I would give a 9 instead of a 10, but I'm giving it a 10 because the other car, which I think is an actual 10, that will beat this in everything the Corvette specializes in. The reason why I'm giving this a 10 as well is because the competition it has is a prize car, and not everyone is going to have a prize car. So your next best option, which would be the best option if you don't have the prize car, would be the Chevrolet Corvette 396. This is your specialist for the quarter mile, the half mile, the 1 mile, and the test bowl. This is actually a just a very good car. It has the same 0 to 60 as the Coronet Super B, but it also has MRA. And the top speed is decent as well at 996. So this is a very good car to have if you don't have the next car, which I am going to talk about now, the Pontiac Firebird Trans Am. This one is a 10 out of 10. This would be an 11 out of 10 if I could give it. This is a specialist for the quarter mile and the half mile. Not the 1 mile in the test bowl. There is another car that will fill in those gaps. But for the quarter mile and the half mile, this is the best rare that can do it. Best one. Number one, no other rare that exists that you can 996 will be the Trans Am on the quarter mile and the half mile. So in a sense, I guess you can say that the Corvette 396 is kind of your great dragster all-rounder for the quote-unquote low RQ rare, because 34 is of course on the lower end. But the next two cars that we're going to see that are drag specialists are higher RQ, one being 36, the other going to be 38. But once again, this is for quarter mile and half mile. Moving along, we have the OG Dodge Dodge Stealth. This one is your all-rounder. It's your classic all-rounder. You can use it in hairpin. You can use it in slalom. You can use it in even the test bowl. You can use it in the quarter mile and the half mile. Not the 1 mile though. You can use it in the twisty circuit, the twisty road, the car park, the slaloms. It will get the job done. This is the car that will lose by 50 points strategically in almost everything. But yes, it's a very nice car to have. 62% win ratio, total races of 1,663. It's a good car because what makes it so good is because you can use it in anything. It has decent 0 to 60, respectable 0 to 60, good handling, good top speed, over 150. It's a great car. It really is a great car. Shout out to the i3S. It's not in my list of 10 purpose level 10 cars. It is a purpose level 9 in my opinion, but it's a great car to have, especially for championships. Moving on, we have the Fiat 124 Sport Spider. Amazing machine. This is the car that I go to for twisty races, twisty tracks in the rain. Amazing car, super light as well, under 900 kgs. Now, the next one on the list is the Vauxhall Chevette HSR. For the longest time on my channel, I've been giving praise to the Skyline hardtop because, you know, it used to be a super rare, now it's a rare, and, you know, if it was one of the best, if it was one of the worst super rares, it's now one of the best rares. I know, I've said that a lot, but honestly, this car is better being 1 RQ less because I enjoyed using the Skyline GTR for the city streets because I used to think it was the best. It isn't. I found out that the GMC GXT, I think, Denali, EXT Denali was better. So I thought the EXT Denali was the best on the city streets. Hence why I have now 2 of them maxed out. XT, not even EXT, just XT. And then I used my Denali against the Chevette, and it lost to the Chevette. So now the Chevette is indeed the best one, the best rare city streets medium car. It will beat everything. I have tested it. There were a couple people telling me, oh, the Ford Focus might be better, or the rare Volvo that has 90 handling. No, I have tested it. The Chevette HSR is the king. So yes, this is a great car. Once again, like I said, it's a 10 out of 10 and it's a specialist for city streets. Anything medium, it's a great car to have. Honestly, twisties is not bad either. 91 handling. Also, it's a very light car of 913 kgs. Moving on, the next one is what's going to round off our drags for the rares. That is going to be the Maserati Ghibli SS. This car and the Pontiac Firebird Trans Am Prize car comes in like bread and butter, right? They're half and half. The Trans Am Prize car fills up the quarter mile and the half mile, and then the Maserati Ghibli SS fills up the 1 mile and the test bowl. This is the best car for the 1 mile and the best car for the test bowl, 996 for a rare. So yes, it's a very good car, the Maserati Ghibli SS. I would definitely keep it around. As you can see, I have 2 of them maxed out, and I had 7 of the Trans Ams maxed out, so that kind of speaks for itself. Moving on now, I got 2 more cars to talk about. Obviously, we haven't... Oh, this was the Volvo I was talking about, by the way. The Chevette beats this on the city streets. But yes, the next car that I want to talk about is indeed the Lotus Elise 1.6. Think Dodge Stealth again, but better in every way but top speed. This is what the Lotus Elise is. In my opinion, it could go super rare and I would be completely fine with it. It's an amazing machine. Really good car. Let's just see how much I've used it. 2,322 races, 69% win ratio, nice. And this one is probably the younger one for 117 days, 473 races with a win ratio of 70%. These cars are really good. These cars are really good. If there was really like, if I had to narrow down all my rares to just 3 cars, the Lotus Elise would be in the top 3 for sure. And then finally, we haven't talked about off-road yet. There is only one off-road king for the rare, and that is indeed the Ford Escort Rally Spec. It will win everything off-road and rare as long as it's not a motocross track where you need a high ground clearance car. In that case, I would use the Defender 110 from the Uncommon range. If not, I'll probably use like one of the Rams. But yes, the Ford Escort Rally Spec is the last car to round out the rares. Once again, there's some really good cars here, right? The Code is a great machine. The Z3 2.2i, a great machine. The Mondeo is a great machine. And once again, the Skyline Hardtop is still a great machine. But once again, they're all kind of like 8s and 9s in terms of usefulness. Once again, this is, you know, my top list. So those are the rares and uncommons which I deem to be 10 on the purpose scale, and these are the cars that win me the big bucks in clubs. Let me know if you agree or disagree, if there are some cards that I may have missed out, some cards you feel that should be in this list. Let me know down in the comments below. But with that said, stay tuned for tomorrow's episode where I will be covering super rares and my favorite ultra rares. But with that said, I hope you guys have a great day. Remember to stay safe. Everything and anything you want to know about me are in the links in the descriptions below. And if you want to support the channel, links in the description below as well. But I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Have a good one, and say, oh, wait, what? I was going to say blossom out, but stay safe, wash your hands, blossom out.